Wow. Woo! Hi everyone, Luke here from Weekend Tour Pros, and you're joining me today in the brand new fitting studio at Portsmouth Golf Centre. This place is just one of the best places you could ever get fit for a custom fit club. It looks absolutely fantastic. It's a super cool place to be hanging out. And I'm delighted to be here today testing one of the brand new drivers for 2024, the TaylorMade Qi10 Max. Now this driver has been getting some really good feedback from the tour players, and I'm keen to see what happens when you put it in the hands of an average swing speed, mid-handicap golfer to test those MOI forgiveness claims. So what we're going to try and do today is hit a batch of shots with this golf club. I'll try and show you the different impact locations from TrackMan, whether we're toe or heel, how much of a drop-off there is and how much it compares to a good strike like for like. And I'll also show you how it performs against my own custom fit Ping G430 as well from last year. Right, let's get stuck in. Right, we're going to get back to the bay in a second and start hitting those shots, but before I do, I just want to tell you a little bit of information about the TaylorMade Qi10 driver family. Now, if you've already done your research on these drivers, feel free to skip ahead by a minute or use the chapters down below to move along to the next chapter, and you'll join me back in the bay ready to hit that first shot and see the results of using this driver. But for those of you that are looking at the driver at the first time, put on screen now a little bit of information about the Qi10 family, the different heads in the family, the different types of target golfer they're relating towards and how they might vary. Now the reason why we're going to be testing the max version of the driver today is that's the one that's probably likely to be fitted to most handicap golfers watching this video. Anyone from a high single figures and upwards, I would expect you to be fitted into this head because it does the perfect balance of forgiveness and distance, which is what all of us need. Now there's three particular claims that TaylorMade are talking about in their marketing material for this driver that I just want to call out that we'll be looking out for when we get into the bay. The first one of those is the increased MOI. They've delivered what they're calling 10K of MOI. Now that's a scientific measurement of the moment of inertia. Now that doesn't mean anything probably to you and I, but what it means in reality is that when you get those off-center hits, the club should twist less in your hands. Now we've all done it when we've hit one out the toe or out the heel and you feel that club twist in your hands and you just see the ball sailing off down the left or down the right depending on where you've hit it off of and probably losing your golf ball. Now the idea of increasing the MOI is that it doesn't twist as much and it hopefully kind of retains the straightness of that ball flight and you don't see as much dispersion left to right. So that's the key claim that TaylorMade are making with this driver. The second thing they've been able to do is the crown of the driver, which is the top bit that you look at when you've got the driver down at address. They've managed to make that out of 97% carbon now. Now the reason they're calling that out is that carbon is a super lightweight material, and what that allows them to do is take the weight that they've saved and use it on other parts of the driver. Now notoriously they want to pull the CG back and down, so on the bottom part of the driver and towards the rear of the driver to try and increase that center of gravity, which increases forgiveness and ultimately increases distances, and hopefully by keeping that carbon as lightweight as they can, they've got more weight to use on that part of the driver to once again give us average golfers some benefit. The third and final thing that they're talking about is they're on to the third generation of their carbon twist face, and they're saying they've been able to get a little bit more energy retention with this third generation of it to again hopefully retain those ball speeds, maximise the distances on those off-centre hits. It all sounds really, really promising, so let's get down to the bay and let's start putting those claims to the test. Right, first shot with the Qi10 Max. First things at address, we are obviously in a very well lit, beautiful studio tonight, but you can see off the top of that crown just how shiny it is, reflecting all that light back off it. Obviously you wouldn't have that out on the golf course, but it is something I'm noticing today while I'm out in the bay, but it just shows how shiny it is. The other thing that from looking at the pictures that I was worried about is that kind of slightly blue face that we've got this time, obviously not as bright and distinctive as the red that we saw in Stealth. I was worried that was going to really sort of stand out and bother me. It absolutely doesn't. You can't really notice it from this point here. Just looks like any other driver face on any other club. But yeah, it's if you like your high gloss finished drivers, this is there. I must admit, you know, the Stealth, I think you're either going to love it or hate it in terms of looks. Probably wasn't my favorite looking driver. I'm someone who also prefers a matte finish on the head, so the shininess of this is going to take me some getting used to, but it does make it feel big and that does inspire a little bit of confidence. Let's see what the first one feels and sounds like and what numbers we get. Wow. Woo! That's high. And there's a bit of speed in it as well. Club head speed 91.7, that's definitely towards the quicker end of what I deliver at the moment. I'm time of year I'm delivering about 92. Ball speed of 130, very, very similar to what I get out of my own driver. Carrying at 200, which again, very similar to my own driver. Total 214. The spin of 3849 does feel a little bit high. but it did go miles in the air. And one thing I'm going to do this time with this review, something I don't normally do, is I am going to show you the impact location of each of these shots, because again, the whole speak of these drivers is just how forgiving they are. And I think that's the relatableness of my review, is that as an average golfer, I'm not going to hit this out of the middle of the face. So that one there, we've caught it a little bit out the toe, and we still carried it, that 200 yards that I did with my own driver. So that's a good start. I really do like that ball flight. If that's the ball flight we get out of this all the way through, that will really seriously impress me. See that, as soon as I hit it, I thought it was going to slice off to the left, because I just think I left the face open a little bit, and it's just stayed dead straight down the left. So club head speed there was 88.6 mile an hour, so a couple of mile an hour down. Another toe strike there, but we've still got 127.6 of ball speed, which is good retention. Only lost a couple of mile an hour. Still managed to get it out there 193 through the air and 205 total. The spin rate's gone through the roof, which is again probably helping to keep that ball in the air. We've seen the launch at 16.4, that peak height of 100 feet. That's really high for me with a driver. That's just great again. It's probably, if anything, a little bit too high. So again, that one was a little bit more high toe, club head speed of 90 mile an hour, ball speed exactly the same as the last one, 127.6, carrying at 196.9, totaling 211.8, spin at 3717. That again does feel a little bit high on the spin rate for me, and launching at 15.3, 90 feet of peak height and landing at 42. That's so good. I really think it's good. That one there, club head speed of 90.1, ball speed of 130.7, carrying at 203.9, 220 on the total. Still high spin for me, 345. I would like to see my spin start with a 2, high 2s, launching at 14.3, peak height 85 feet, land angle 39. Again, you can just see there, 4 mil above the center, 11 mil off of center as well towards the toe. I am trying to get that strike ever so slightly in the middle for you guys. I'll try and see if I can hit one out the heel in a minute as well, but I am a predominantly toe striker with the driver. That was probably the first swing I've put on it that didn't feel great. And actually TrackMan's just popped up to say it couldn't pick up the impact location on that one. But we have got 89.7 mile an hour of club head speed, 126.8 of ball speed, carrying still at that 200 mark, total 224.5. Interestingly, the spin came down there to 2520. We still got some good launch, peak heights and land angles. That really did feel like I thought that was gonna, just the way I hit it, I just thought it was gonna open massively in my hands, but it hasn't again. Really interested to see what we get there. So we have lost some ball speed. You can see how high and how toey that is. Really nearly missed the face almost, such a high toe. But we've still managed to get 121 of ball speed, still carried it 184.2. Again, unless I hit exactly the same shot with a driver that's 2 or 3 years old, we'll never know what the difference will be. But I was expecting that to feel a lot worse as I went through impact based on what I'm used to feeling of a twisting of the face. And I was expecting to see that it maybe didn't go as far as it has, even at 184.2. Totaling at 197. Again, that spin's crept up, and I'm assuming that's what it's doing. The spin creeps up to keep the ball in the air, and we have seen an incredibly high flight once again. That felt great. Really interested again to see where the impact location is there. Felt like it was going to be quite centered that time. That felt like a really good hit. Yeah, so we're 13 mil still towards the toe, but almost dead center, only 1 mil down from center. So we've hit that at 132.1 of ball speed, carrying at 204.5, totaling 220. Spinning is still high at 3664, and that peak height still good at 85.4. Just turned that one over, unfortunately. First one I've seen that's actually had a little bit of curvature to the shot there. 90.5 mile an hour of club head speed, ball speed 134.2, probably because of the fact I've pulled and turned it over a little bit, carrying at 198, totaling 221. Spin still high at 3448. Interestingly again though, sort of out the toe, quite middled. That felt great again. It does feel good, like I can't deny that. But that one there, look, we've hit it quite middled, and we've got 194 yards of carry, 209 yards of total distance, spinning at 4389. Height of 80.8. I definitely think with a fitter, not just me and my own, with a fitter dialing me in with shaft and head settings, we would knock that spin down and we would see a bit of extra distance out of this golf club. So I'm not concerned by that at all. I know that this isn't fitted for me. It's just me hitting, you know, a regular setup to give you guys some perspective. That's great. So that one there, we hit it just 1 mil towards the, sorry, 11 mil towards the toe, 10 mil high, so a centimetre sort of from dead centre. 130 mile an hour ball speed, 206.8 on the carry, totaling 226. The spin there just under 3,000. That's exactly what I would like to see. And we've still got that good launch and that good height. That's a really nice shot with this driver. I can't knock the driver, I really can't. It definitely doesn't feel like I can hit this off the planet. Like I'm really trying to give it some, but I think everything I've hit today would be within that sort of 60-yard left to right dispersion. And obviously you'd be aiming for certain targets. Oh, that's brilliant. That's a great one. Ball speed, 130 off of my hit there. Carrying at 202, totaling 218, spinning at 3616, peak height 87 feet. Unfortunately, TrackMan's just not picked up my impact location there, but we've got the best hit of the day so far. 91.5 of club head speed, 128 ball speed, 207.4 of carry, 227 through the air, and that's with the spin rate coming down to where I want it to be. That one there is a little bit of a heely one because it's finally the one that's come back and cut a little bit. Fortunately, just again, maybe because of the light conditions changing, the sun setting there, TrackMan's just struggling to pick up that impact location on a couple of these shots, but 92.3 mile an hour club head speed, 129 a ball, carrying 200, totaling 216, spinning at 3534, peak height of 90. Good one to finish on. So done hitting shots with the TaylorMade Qi10 Max driver. First impressions in the bay is, obviously I can't tell, I'm not a robot, I can't tell like for like if I had another driver in my hand, but it did feel forgiving. I'd be lying if I didn't say that. There was definitely 1 or 2 shots where I was expecting the club to twist and I was expecting to see the ball curve off miles, but the actual straightness of the ball flight with everything that I hit was really, really good. The maximum I got was a couple of yards of cut, and the one that I really did pull hook, you know, maybe a 5-yard kind of bit of curvature, but it did feel like it was really straight. It did feel really easy to kind of get some distance out of it, even the bad shots, and there was quite a lot of them because I'm a handicapped golfer and this is a driver that's not been fitted for me just yet. Even with that, you know, we were still getting maybe 190 yards of carry rather than my 200 to 205 that was quite more typical. One thing in the bay that probably would come out for me is that spin rate is a little bit high in this setup for me, but again with a fitter we'd dial that in, we'd get that spin down to the high 2000s, we'd eke out another sort of 5 or so yards from doing that, and I think we'd get distance comparable to what I get out of my own fitted driver. So no concerns about distance whatsoever, but do think it is forgiving. Do really like the face, do really like the sole. Not a massive fan of the crown looks, made worse in the lighting here today. But what we need to do now is go home, let's look at all the data from all those shots we've just hit and just give you our concluding thoughts on all of the data. Let's do that now. So I've just got home and had a chance to dissect all of the data from the batch of shots you've just seen me hit with the TaylorMade Qi10 Max driver and comparing it against a set of shots I hit off camera with my own Ping G430 for benchmarking and comparison purposes. Now the first thing to call out here is there is a slight difference in my delivery in terms of attack angle, path and face angle, and there's also a little bit of difference in my club head speed, and I think I put that down to purely the fact that my own Ping G430, I've had it a while now, I'm very comfortable with it and it is completely dialed into me, and therefore I can just go after it versus picking that TaylorMade off the shelf for the first time and having to get used to it and getting comfortable with how it performed. So just bear that in mind when we look at the rest of the numbers. The one thing we can see here though is the smash factors on average with both of these clubs was identical at 1.44, and therefore they are similar speed clubs across the face. Now in terms of that carry number, virtually identical, only 0.7 of a yard in it, but there was about 5 yards more of total distance with my Ping G430, but that's all down to the things we spoke about in the bay, the increase in spin and that really high ball flight that I would need to dial in with a fitter. And just to bring that to life for you, you can see there at 3086 versus 3475, there's about 400 revs of difference in spin, and actually that was me hitting my Ping a little bit higher spin than I normally do. Like I said in the bay, I'm always looking around that sort of high 2000s is an optimal spin for me. And just to bring that ball flight to life again, you can see launch angles, peak heights, land angles, very much steeper with the TaylorMade versus the Ping. And if I just show you the side-on view there of the shots, you can see those red lines representing the TaylorMade more often than not are the highest lines on that chart. Final thing to call out is the dispersion circles here. There is a bigger data set with the TaylorMade Qi10 Max, and I do think that dispersion circle is really good, particularly given the fact that I am an 11 handicap golfer and I'm not going to hit every shot absolutely perfect, particularly with a club that I've just picked up for the first time. And just to bring that to life, if I draw the lines on for you, if we look at the dispersion of all my shots represented by the orange lines there, you can see that it's about 70 yards of dispersion versus a PGA Tour average of 65 yards. Again, the thing to call out there is they do hit it 100 yards more through the air than me, but just for some perspective, it shows that it wasn't anything crazy. Now, if we do take my best 80% of shots, so that's the best 16 of the 20 shots that are shown here, the dispersion was really tight at only 30 yards, and I think that really does demonstrate the forgiveness of this driver and backs up how I was feeling in the bay. Some really strong numbers from the Qi10 Max. Let's get into my concluding thoughts. So that brings me really nicely into my final thoughts on the TaylorMade Qi10 Max driver. My overriding conclusion is I absolutely love this driver, and I'm going to go so far as to say I think it's the best driver that TaylorMade have made for average golfers in the last 4 or 5 years. Now, it's not me criticising the previous incarnations of TaylorMade drivers, it's just me saying that it really feels like with this driver, they've put all of their R&D and their focus on delivering something that really can deliver maximum forgiveness whilst maintaining distance for the average golfer who hits the ball all over the face of the driver. And I really think they've achieved that here based on the results that I saw in the bay. And I can honestly say this is probably the first driver in that period by TaylorMade that I would be more than happy to game in my bag. The one thing I would call out is if you are a high spin, high launching driver player naturally, you want to make sure that when you go and see your custom fitter, you just dial in that spin and that launch options like I would need to do to make sure you don't sacrifice any distance from this driver. Equally, if you are someone who's naturally low launching and low spin with the driver and needs to get that up a bit, do seriously consider this as an option in 2024 because it really could help you just get that by picking it up off the shelf just based on the results that I saw compared to my own driver. All that's left for me to say is if you like the video, smash that thumbs up button. It really does help golfers like yourself to find my videos on YouTube. And if you're not yet subscribed to Weekend Tour Pros, hit that button down below, ring that bell, and you'll get notified of all my videos as they land on the channel. We've got loads more from the 2024 club releases landing soon, including Callaway AI Smoke, Cobra Dark Speed, which I've already filmed. It's a fantastic driver, that one really will impress you. We've got the new irons landing soon as well, and plenty more club, ball reviews and on-course content landing soon. And if you want to see how all of that stuff performs in the hands of an average swing speed, mid-handicap golfer just like yourself, then make sure you're following my channel. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. Goodbye.